the problem with comparing the iPhone to an electric car is the people who can actually afford an iPhone are a subset of a subset of a subset of Zimbabweans. It's a very small pool of people
Mm-hmm.
who can just say on the turn of a flick, okay, let me just go buy an iPhone. The people who like, okay, you can have a
Mm-hmm.
person like you and I, like to say, you're fresh out of college, you just got your first job. To buy an electric vehicle is a massive leap. And to say plug-in
Mm-hmm.
electric hybrids are the gateway, again, it's good because you get the best of both worlds. The problem is you get the complexity of both worlds. Because with the
Mm-hmm.
plug-in electric hybrid, you still got the internal combustion engine there. If that fails or that
Mm-hmm.
has issues, then it still needs the regular maintenance and servicing. And then the battery element
Mm-hmm.
as well is something you can carry. Cost as well, because they're pretty
Yeah.
expensive. Because you're getting both
Yeah.
best
You've
of
got a
both
double
worlds.
cost. Yeah. You've
You
got a
got double
double
cost. So
cost. Mm.
it's not it is if there's a way to make those vehicles cheaper, which there isn't right now because most of them on sale are pretty expensive. Um, People are going to go over battery electric vehicles thinking, oh no, since it's the future, but it's a step too far.
Mm.
That's what I was talking about before. Like there's so many gaps in the middle that we need to fill. The one big one is
You know the
government
biggest. You know the biggest gap is probably excise duty. If that's removed,
yeah.
trust me, those cars will be swarming in this country like no man's business. But now the problem is we need to have control measures in terms of quality, because if you see in a lot of countries when they're selling pre-owned electric vehicles, either one, the battery is degraded, secondly there's something actually wrong with the whole system. So now imagine that car comes here
Mm.
and there's not enough, we don't have enough space, we don't have enough backup. Comes here, dies off. 2, 3, or 4 people have bad experience with it. The whole concept is dead. So somehow there's a lot of gaps. I agree with you, but we can close those gaps stage by stage if only the government is willing to engage the relevant people to say, okay, fine, we've got these people, let them do everything. Then we'll just pass the legislation.
That's a
Mm.
rarity because they'll never ever relinquish that sort of control to say, oh no, let's engage a few people and then let them do it. They're going to move at their own pace. I think the only way the government can be a boost to this is if they say, let's adopt as the government, giving us the incentive to create the infrastructure necessary to make this possible. Like I said, the parastatals that could use these vehicles and could cut costs in terms of battery electric vehicles are a number. They
Mm.
have too many to mention. So if they do the adoption first, people will follow.
Mhm.
People will be like,
Look,
what's your excuse for not having electric vehicles when there are 40 charging stations in Harare alone?
yes, that's the main thing that we're looking at. Look, for what you just said is I totally agree with you. But there's one thing I'm really happy about with Fortune Chassis before he left. He actually said, look, he's willing to push the private sector to be ahead, to be the front line, whilst the ministry is sort of like your guideline. Because you are pushing through everything. The ministry will be just there to support you and say, look, guys, because of the legislation A, B, C, D, don't do this, do that. It's just to ensure that there is control, something that does not affect the energy sector or the economy itself.
Mm.
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 So I
Yeah.
feel our ministries are quite keen. They're very keen. They're very happy to support the initiative, but I think it's up to the private sector. The private sector, if it's ready to invest, there will be 100 charging stations in this country because already there's DPA, and then another company comes in and says, "Look, I want to invest in charging stations." You see, how
Mm.
it will pan out, because because I understand total France. I was talking to someone from, because we were trying to get Peugeot. He was telling me they've actually set aside a budget for the global market to. You remember they've started putting solar in all their service station. The next step is
Yeah.
now charging station. Now
Mm.
imagine each and every total service station with the charging station by mid-August in Zimbabwe. It's going to happen.
That's a that's a scary that's a like a too soon in my head. Like I'm a skeptical person. I'll be honest with you. For me, that feels too soon. But the commitments I've seen from other countries like Norway, Denmark, Sweden, saying by 2030 there'll be no fossil fuel vehicle on sale,
Mm.
I can believe that. But for them, it's
Oh,
going to
you're
take me a lot of convincing. It might just be me being programmed
I'm I'm
uninitiated
I'm
because we've
I'm
got first-hand encounters.
I'm
But
telling
I'm just
you
that
from.
whole Zimbabwe running.
Okay, let me give you let me ask you a question. Did you ever think to yourself that those safe stations will go off grid? in that space of time? Did you think SWEPS was going to go off grid in that space of time? Did you think Standardization of Zimbabwe were going to go off grid in that space of time?
Yeah,
The incentive to do it was there was a thing now.
You know what? This is one thing. I think Zimbabweans are underestimating what's going on in the corporate world. Total safe station as we speak. Probably, I don't want to say things I don't know, but probably by mid-August, they will have each will have charging stations. Probably, it's my assumption. I don't know.
And I think I think that'll be interesting.
What I'm saying,
because there's also like you mentioned that a bunch of people are buying like Honda Fit hybrids, and yeah, there are a bunch of other hybrids that are out there, Toyota Camrys, Toyota Crowns, and the like. It seems probably the main push, since Zimbabwe is largely a second-hand market for vehicles, it feels like it'll most likely be determined by it'll most likely be determined most by the global market. So as the global market is pushing towards electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, it'll then eventually trickle down to other countries like Zimbabwe, who don't really rely on dealerships, but more on like second-hand import market and get those kinds of vehicles. So I mean, it's something that even if it feels, well, at least to me, that even if we try to resist, it's something that's just so inevitable. It's just going to happen. And it's already been happening with a bunch of hybrid vehicles that we are seeing in the streets right now, as well as a bunch of electric vehicles that we are also seeing in the streets right now. It looks like that's where things are headed.
Look, it's something I was highlighting last week. People are buying hybrids in the sense of that they want to save fuel. And then sometimes they get disappointed saying, I don't understand. There's induction also. That's why I said it's education. You need to understand how you drive a hybrid. Because if you drive it like you're driving your normal Subaru or your BM, it will still consume the same fuel because you'll be using both. It's now you've got extra power because you've got an extra electric motor pushing the wheels, and you've got the internal combustion pushing the wheels. Because you need to understand the concept of a hybrid is below 60 Ks, it's using the electric motor and the battery. Above, it's now using both. I drove a Toyota Auris 2017 model from Baitbridge via Blueo, via Shavane. Sorry, it was via Shavane Road into Harare. Do you know, if I tell you I only used one full tank that whole route?
And it was just through managing the hybrid system.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I also had a BMW Active Hybrid 5. The Active Hybrid 5 was designed for performance. It wasn't designed for efficiency. So surprisingly, with the way I was driving, I was actually getting efficiency because it was giving me 1:14, 1:15. And I'm talking of a 3-liter twin turbo engine with an electric motor. And I was getting 1:15.
Yeah, that's
in town. And then on the highway it was about 1:16, 1:17. No, more or less different. It's how you're able to drive it too. So look, like what I was saying, there's a lot of hybrids, there's a lot of electric cars already in Zimbabwe, but we cannot trace them because firstly, Zimra doesn't have the narrative. They don't have the narrative to say, they can only classify, the electric vehicle is classified as an hybrid because they don't have, on their system, I don't think they have a narrative classifying that it's an EV. You find it under a go-kart or a golf cart.
Oh, all right. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because those are the things that come with electric. Yeah, those are the things that come with electric motors. So there's, like what Valentine says, those are the gaps. There are the gaps also, because we need to make sure that our Zimra system is upgraded to identify that this car is electric. CVR, we have to have also a different system for them to identify that this car is a low emission vehicle. because I understand sales tax is there for carbon tax.
Okay.
So if you bring in a low emission vehicle, it has to reduce.
Yeah, for sure.
As well as
So,
e-tolls. When the e-tolls
Mhm.
come, we need to get EV e-tolls.
yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
Sorry, Ed, at a burning point. You're my e-tolls. Because I was there in South Africa when they were launched way back when, and it was a mess. And like the payment system was a problem. People were getting overcharged, and people like it was a mess. So if they can sort of the system, get it working right first of all, and then say
Uh,
EVs get 20% off at toll gates, I'll be happy with that.
No, look, according to the framework policy we're working on, all those incentives are there. It's just a matter of putting it together in a nice, sweet document, getting it into Parliament. Parliament says, okay, fine, let's do an SI for it. I'm telling you, that'll be the best thing that they'll ever done. Because even insurance companies, I was speaking to a couple of insurance companies, they're very happy to do that because protecting the environment and also making sure there's convenience for people are two things that are very important for business.
mm,
Because now imagine, let's say, for example, you remember the time the cell phones were introduced with the 3G network. I remember a lot of people were saying the internet in Zimbabwe will not work. Same way Valentine is saying there's these gaps. But look at where are we right now? We're using Zoom on what? On Wi-Fi. Where? In Zimbabwe. Through a base station that was put in Zimbabwe. And it didn't take a space, it took us a little space of time to get 4G also. So we've got, you know what? We've got the talent. We've got everything in Zimbabwe. But it's just that thing I always tell people that you wake up with a dream in Zimbabwe, but after 10, 20 minutes, you are angry.
yeah, there's really no
You
need
just,
to be.
you just get angry. Look,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how I was telling my friends, how, look, I follow Techsim religiously. I actually get most of my information from you guys. I told this
Oh,
guy, this
cool.
other friend of mine, I said, if these guys were in the States, they'll probably be, what's this company called that's always talking about technology? It's actually a show on BBC.
Oh,
What is it called?
BBC
iClick.
Click.
Yes. I told them they'll be as popular as this. But Zimbabwean publications, they don't realize that talent. They say, whatever. Like I run a page, an automotive page, Zimtorque, right? I told
Mm-hmm.
myself, I'm not going to wait for publication for recognition from anyone. Because right now, you see, there's now broadcasting licenses. You guys would have been approached by Ministry of Information and Publicity in broadcasting services. Say, guys, we need to have a TV show for technology. You need to talk about technology in Zimbabwe. You guys take them because we see how you do on Facebook. But they won't. They'll tell you, come here. When you go to them, we need 5,000 US. We need to get the license.
Mm,
But your info, the way you're portraying information, now imagine right now, probably someone in a Zimbabwean in Australia now knows information about Zimbabwe through you guys.
mm.
You're putting a positive image about Zimbabwe, but you're not getting the recognition. I feel, you know what, like how, what's it called? This other online TV, is it
Is
ZTN
HTN?
for Zim
Yeah,
papers. I
yeah.
said, yeah, I said the same thing. Broadcasting in Zimbabwe should have been made open to say people just apply, they get their license simple. You guys imagine you had your own TV channel talking about
Mm,
technology.
mm.
How many followers will be there just to sit down and say, I'm watching TechZim. The show starts at 6 o'clock and ends at 7. I'm watching TechZim. But
Yeah, it would
Zimbabwe,
be
sometimes they don't realize such talent.
it would be
They
an
don't.
interesting number. Yeah. So yeah,
You know,
I
it's
think I think like so I think hopefully we get there. Especially the EV
you will.
space. I think it's pretty
Mm,
interesting. It's an interesting place to be. Feels like when all the cogs are turning, it's going to be a
mm,
win-win for everyone. So I think just to round it all up,
yep.
you guys said you're working on a policy document. Any
Mhm.
any timeline on when it'll be available, or if there is any place where people can just check it out?
Okay, currently it's being spearheaded by the Ministry of Energy. and power
Mm.
development, along with climate change committee. So probably it'll take maybe up to June, July. We don't know, but as we go, I think maybe some incentives may be put into effect. It depends on how much we'll push and how much I'll try and convince the committee for us to get this to move, because I feel, look, our generation deserves some bit of change and some bit of enjoyment of technology. I was quite happy with Zimra when they said duty exemption on ICT equipment. It's quite a big move for even us youngsters, because
Mm.
we like using computers, tablets, laptops. So now imagine
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about paying duty for those stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite interesting. It's quite very interesting, and it's yeah, it's the future. So hey man, Tanaka,
Yeah,
thanks so much for hanging out with us.
no problem. Thanks.
Like I said, we
Thank
can
you
talk all
guys.
day. But yeah,
This we can go all night, all day. Yeah.
it's been fantastic. So to all those that are
No,
listening,
thank you.
thank you so much. Valentine, you have any last words?
If I have last words, we'll just keep going on and on with Tanaka. So let's spare the people. We'll have a part two.
You know. So yeah, thank you all for
Yeah,
listening. Follow us, like us. Also check out
yeah.
Zimtorque and see what they're doing. I mean, it's interesting stuff. Until next time, goodbye.